bring in our next guest.
He is the director of NASCAR Weekly Racing, Kevin Nevalainen.
Welcome to the show. We appreciate you coming on with us. And, I don't know if you know the history of NASCAR here in Kansas City, but Kirk and I've been pushing the NASCAR brand here forever because I grew up racing at Lakeside Speedway, I-70 Speedway. Kirk was the announcer at Adams County Raceway up in Adams County, and we've bought into it. And I've always said over the years, from '84 on, Larry Phillips winning all those national championships, Clint Boyer winning a regional championship, Kerry Davis driving for the Smiths winning a national championship in the second division when it was a Grand National. We had a lot of people that had a lot of success with NASCAR here. And then they decided to go in another direction, right? Whatever that was. And we kind of lost our luster a little bit. And I've always told people about NASCAR is that the great thing about when you go out, if you go out and you say, hey, I run a USRS, whatever, modified. Nobody understands that, right? But the moment you say, I drive at a NASCAR Weekly Race Series track, that gets that the non-racing fan, the average fan, or the fringe fan, automatically they identify with the word NASCAR, and I think there's some big-time opportunities for people to use that for their marketing advantages. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate the support. And actually, I think I couldn't have teed that up any better. But we had a great history back in the day with Lakeside, and you mentioned Adams County. You've got I-80 Speedway, and some of the guys that raced up there, the Kosiskis, guys like Tim Carrick, Clint Boyer down at Lakeside, Kerry Davis, you mentioned. Mm-hmm. But I think what there is some excitement at NASCAR. There's a lot of brand reputation, and that's strong. And I think we need to get back to that. And certainly it's exciting for us to bring Lakeside Speedway back to the program, Central Missouri Speedway getting into the program as a new track. I remember visiting with Clint Boyer and Tim Carrick, Kerry Davis, and those guys, and hearing the word Warrensburg. I always knew it as Warrensburg. So,
welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott Traylor. I'm at Devil's Bowl Speedway, Mesquite, Texas, where it's going to be night number 2 of the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour. You can watch it all live on RacinBoys, and you can watch it on Flow as well. Joining us on the show right now is a 2-time winner of the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Midget Nationals. He picked up a win this year in the Cup Series at Las Vegas. Kyle Larson joins us today. Kyle, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing good, man. Thanks for taking the time to join us. I know everybody's reaching out to you, pulling you in all different directions, but, man, they ought to be pulling you in all different directions. It has been quite the season so far on the Cup side, and you just carried that momentum from the dirt right over to the Cup side, didn't you, Kyle?
I don't know. It's definitely been a good start to the Cup season. So I'm not sure if all the dirt success I had, it has anything to do with it. I think mostly just being with an amazing race team with extremely smart people working on the race cars. So just fortunate to be a part of Hendrick Motorsports and having a blast out there each weekend. So it's been great. Cool to get a win, and hopefully we can get a lot more now the rest of the season.
Yeah. Hey, Kyle, I go back to my memory of going up and asking your dad at Cottage Grove. I think you were about 15 years old. You hadn't made a big splash on the national scene yet. Your dad had to go in and wake you up to come out and do an interview with you. I think you were real thrilled about doing that at the age of 15. I think you were more interested in your sleep that day. But when did you realize that this racing career, this game was going to lead to what you're doing now? Was there a moment in your life when you realized, man, I can do this and I can do it at a very high level. I'm going to chase this dream. How old were you when you decided I can do this?
I don't know. I mean, I think every kid has really high expectations for themselves and a lot of confidence in themselves. So I would say at an early age, but I mean, it probably didn't really become a reality until maybe I was.
Now joining us is the reigning USAC midget champion, Chris Windom. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing good, man. So it's right around the corner. You're going to be racing some sheet metal. What do you think about that?
I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't got to run some sheet metal in a couple of years, so I'm looking forward to getting back in it. I always have a lot of fun getting around the stock car stuff, so it's going to be different and a big learning experience in a short amount of time, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
What do you think the biggest challenge for guys like yourself getting in these big old heavy pieces of iron? I'm trying to be nice here. All right. So, and you know, that they don't have a lot of horsepower. They got the truck arms on them. I mean, to me, now, don't take this the wrong way, right? But when I watch those guys, because, you know, all I do is watch open wheel racing. That's all I watch, right? I don't want to watch anything else but open wheel racing. And when I watch it, it's like watching street stocks race a little bit for me. I don't mean that in a disrespect way, but it's so slow to me and lumbering, you know? What is the challenge driving those cars?
Yeah, so I mean, especially going to Bristol, I don't think the speed factor will be any issue. It'll be slower than what I'm used to, but
right.
You know, like you said, just how heavy and big they are, and not being in a stock car very often, you don't have a great feeling of, you know, all the weight behind you or, you know, in front of you when you're trying to drive the car. So, you know, but for me, I enjoy doing different things, and even if it is a slower car, it's still a different type of race car, and it's fun to try to learn and get better and good at it. So,
well, bring in our next guest here, Kirk.
She is Jessica Friesen, and she and her husband Stuart are going to be racing on the dirt at Bristol coming up here in a couple of weeks. They've raced together. We've seen her in a wing sprint car
many times over the years.
So welcome to the show, Jessica.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, you've got to be excited to make your NASCAR Camping World Truck debut at Bristol Motor Speedway. What do you think?
Yes, I'm pumped, super pumped. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, you know, we were sitting here talking about it just a little bit ago. We just had Lee Spencer on. I know she's doing a column about you on RacinBoys.com, but just the speed difference. You know, you're so used to driving these open wheel cars, 410s, 360s. Doesn't matter what it is. It's open wheel racing, right? When you get into one of these big old heavy stock cars, things are really going to slow down. Do you think that kind of works to your advantage, maybe a little bit?
I think so. You know, I don't. It's definitely not going to be a disadvantage. You know, not having any experience in any kind of a stock car or anything bigger or heavier. You know, that's a little bit of a concern. But I think, you know, with being used to running stuff with a lot more horsepower on the dirt and, you know, hard to hook up. Like, I know the trucks are going to be hard to hook up on the dirt, and you know, just being smooth and consistent. And I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest concern for you going into this race, and maybe some of the other people that are going to go in and run a truck for the first time that maybe have an opportunity? You know, we know there's some guys coming from the dirt side of things going over there and running. What do you think is the number one concern for those guys going into this race?
I mean, I'm sure a lot of the guys probably have dirt experience, and I think that's really the number one, you know, thing that really matters. Just the dirt's so much different, but I'm really not concerned about anything other than.
All right, well, let's bring him on the show now. Guy that I think everybody takes pleasure in watching him race. One of the greatest sprint car drivers to ever strap on a helmet, and hopefully we'll get to see him race at Bristol. Sammy Swindell joins us now. Sammy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Sammy, Bristol's coming up, and everybody knows that you're the man at Bristol after what you did there all those years ago. What do you think about going back to Bristol? I know you want to be there, but let's first of all talk about the track and the speeds and everything that goes with racing at Bristol and your memories of back when you won back-to-back there.
Well, I mean, actually, the first time I went there, we went with the channel lock car, and you know, when it was still pavement, and we got to run on the track right before they started the the Cup race. So all the officials had came down, and there was a couple guys that didn't want me going out, or they just wanted to push me around. And I think Gary Nelson was running at that time, and we just talked a bit, and like, well, what do you think? Well, I'll just, take it easy and roll around there and make some nice laps, but not try to set a track record, But so that was pretty interesting when you take off, and I said, well, let me just kind of idle around there, or run around there to slow pace for a couple laps, and then I'll run a couple laps. And so, okay, we'll do that, and then run about 3 laps, and then they were going to open the gate so I could pull out, so I didn't have to stay down in there for the whole race. Right. So if you've ever been in there, it's if you don't have a headset or something on, it's pretty loud.
No, it's real loud, yeah.
But yeah, when I ran on that, I mean, it was